Good morning. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our Winterberry project. Today we're going to be giving you an update on our mechanical rough-in. The guys just started a couple days ago, and some houses you can get mechanical rough-in done in just a couple of days, but not here. We've unfortunately made things a little bit difficult for them, and not out of intention. It's just out of the way the house is designed, the way the structure is built, and the way some of our detail work is done. So we're down in the basement. We'll start here and we'll kind of work our way up through the next two floors of the house and kind of walk you through what we've got going on. So you guys have heard me ramble on about how much I love 12-foot ceilings down here and blah, blah, blah. And I swear, if you're anywhere near Northwest Indiana, I invite you, come out, check this project out with me. I'd like you to see it in person and get people's real world feedback on it. So with that tall of a ceiling, you get to build deep coffers that'll add a bunch of volume to the room. It'll make it look, I shouldn't say volume, depth. So these are 14-inch deep tray ceilings or coffer, whatever you want to call them, that are framed out all the way down. And they run from that outside edge that you see there, and they will end at this one will end at the right side of that beam there. So you have symmetrical width on the sides, and then everything down the middle is symmetrical holes here. So even with these, the bottom of these, you're still like 10 foot 8 to the bottom of the tray, which is fantastic. Where I was going with that is they have to get their heat ducts through this whole mess that we've built for them. So you'll see we've got a register there that's they've got to go up over everything and then drop back down to get heat and air conditioning down here. And that all is going to tie back to this room in here. And this room is going to house our furnace for the basement and the main level of the house. And we are going to do one zone that'll take care of this whole area. Then we've got another zone that does the master suite side of the house. And then we've got a third zone that does the rest of the living area on the main floor. And then of course a fourth furnace on the second furnace on the second story to do the fourth zone of heating and cooling for the house. That way you have better balance through the house and you can control the heat better in the rooms where you're currently using. So with the furnace being stuffed down here, this is going to be the main trunk line for heat that goes up and out for all three zones. And there's a valve that controls the zone. So that valve will actually block off one of the ducts if there's no heat or cooling being called for in that area. And this will all come down to the furnace. And then this right here is going to be the air return for the basement. There's no good way to run air returns in multiple places down here and bring them back into this room. So we did one large register here, and we'll do a decorative cover on it, so it doesn't just look like this big metal box hanging out of the wall when it's finished. But I mentioned at the beginning of the video that the structure in this house is posing some fun issues. So normally you'll have beams that run one direction in the house, and then any of your structural members will usually be braced over the top of those. Well, unfortunately in this house, there's one beam that ties from the outside wall. And again, it's dark down here, guys, so I apologize. We don't have power yet. It runs from the wall and ties in here. And unfortunately, what that does is it creates a cross. So normally they would just hug the floor joist and run all the way down. So when they get to this beam, they have to actually come down to go around it. So we'll lose a little bit of ceiling height inside of this. This is kind of like a little foyer that opens up and has a door to go to the furnace room and has another door to go to the powder room. So we might end up at, 10-foot ceiling inside of here just to make up for the ductwork. And kind of same thing that we would have to drop the ceiling for anyway. Every bathroom has to have an exhaust vent, and our HVAC guys are the ones who put all those in. Same thing in here. We have not only the beam, but then we have a triple LVL that sits perpendicular right at the end of the wall. So there's no way to get a vent just out and run through the floor joist like you usually would. So same thing, we're gonna have to come down, go under a beam, and take off out of the house. So that's pretty much HVAC for the basement. Let's take a trip upstairs. I'm gonna snatch my coffee. It's such an important part of the morning. And we asked you guys in the last video what you would like to do down here, and quite naturally our videos don't go up at the day or the day after that they're shot, so there's a little bit of a delay. So we still don't have an answer for what we're going to do down there, but as soon as we do, we're going to let you guys know what it is. So come with me upstairs and I'll kind of give you a quick rundown of the HVAC here, and of course more of the hurdles that we face with the way this house was engineered. And even looking back, I couldn't find easy fixes for some of the problems that we are running into. So this is, again, the master bathroom, and it's a big room. So we've got to get exhaust vents out here, and normally in a space this size, we would do 3 vents that are all controlled by a central unit and just go out through one. However, not an option. We are boxed in at the back side of this room by a double LVL, so we can't get out that way. We have another double LVL here, so we can't go that way, and at least from that space. And if we go that way, it's out the front of the house, and we do not want to put vent registers out the front of a house. It's not aesthetically pleasing. Sorry, we're gonna have a cut there. When I walked in to show you this vent, due to the lighting, everything goes dark on the camera. You can't see me or what I'm trying to tell you. So with the way the LVLs lay out in here, we're kind of stuck with one little corner inside of the shower that we can pop a vent in and get it right out through the soffit. We might have to do that because again, outside of that LVL and that LVL and that LVL, there's another triple LVL that runs through there. So this whole room is just riddled with structural members that you cannot take a 4-inch hole saw through and cut through. It doesn't work. It's not allowed. So we might end up just putting one in that corner there, and then inside of the toilet room, putting one in the corner there. So having 2 inside of this room. And then of course, with having our heating and air conditioning set up downstairs, all of our heat vents are floor registers here, except for we did a wall register inside of the toilet room. When you've got lower level mechanical, you could do all your duct work in the floor joist down there, kind of how we showed you, and pop out all your floor registers here. So we'll have a thermostat inside of this room, so you can control the heat for this whole suite completely separate from the main level of the house. And the HVAC guys brought up a good point yesterday when we were discussing where do we put all the thermostats in this house, and I was kind of like, well, let's try and center a thermostat for the main living area. It makes the most sense. They brought out a glaring thing that I was missing, the fact that we have a fireplace right there. So you don't want a thermostat right next to a fireplace because that's going to throw it way off. You don't want it in the kitchen where you're generating a whole bunch of heat from the stove and the ovens, or else you're going to be cold on this side of the house. So the only spot that we could come up with to keep it kind of out of the way is we're going to put it just inside of this room here, or this little hallway here, and see how that balances it out. I might actually do something like dropping an additional line in another location, possibly in this wall here. That way, if we don't like the way it's controlling the heat in the house, we already have the added thermostat wire inside of the wall in another location. I mean, you're talking $5 worth of wire and 10 minutes worth of work just to future-proof it in case you want to make a change. Super easy to do now, but if the house is done, drywall's in, and then you decide, now you got a mess on your hands. So if you're unsure where you want to put something, just add redundancy. It's easier. And if you guys watched the last video, we've already explained to you the ductwork and everything that we have going on for the range hood in the kitchen. So we'll take a quick pop upstairs, and they haven't started anything up there, but at least I can let you guys know where it's going to lay out. And I know as we're going up the stairs here, we've talked in the past about possibly doing a single stringer metal staircase with like the 3-inch monoblock stairs. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. I just got a price, an updated price with current wood and steel prices to do the stairs going all the way from up here to the basement, and it came in at $58,000. and that is unfortunately just outside of the budget. We figured it was going to be well out of the budget, but not quite that far out of the budget. And I don't want to just do it on the main floor and have it come up here and then have a standard staircase going down. So we're just going to do probably white oak stair treads, stained dark, and then white painted risers, which is kind of how we drew it from the beginning. So it'll look really good. Just I wanted that steel stringer staircase. I just think they look awesome, but it's too much money. It's probably an extra $30,000 compared to what we're going to spend on stairs, maybe closer to 40. Too much money. So this is, I guess there's really not much I can show you in here. This is just one of the spare bedrooms. So same thing with having a bathroom here. Every bathroom is going to have a vent. Up here, we have nothing in our way. We have a big, huge attic above us, tons of space to work with. So we have no structural members that are blocking us off from getting anything to the outside of the house, whether it's vents or if it's feed lines for the furnace, doesn't matter. All of it goes in the attic here. So up here, all of your heat registers come in down through the ceiling instead of in the floor like they do on the main level. But if we pop over to the other side, then you're coming inside to another bedroom here, but we've got a mechanical room here. This is where our other furnace is going to go. Much smaller furnace up here since you're only conditioning the space on the second floor, and it's 1,400 square feet here compared to the, what do you see, you got 4,200 square feet that you're conditioning with the other furnace, so the other furnace is much larger. So everything will be based out of this room. Everything goes up into the attic and branches out to each of the rooms up here. And that's pretty much the extent of it. So the next time we bring you guys out, we'll be able to actually show you how the ductworks run up here. And one thing I should note, you'll notice in the basement that when you saw the ductwork, it was just metal ductwork, no insulation around it or any of that. That's because that is in conditioned space. So that is living inside of the heated and cooled space. When you go into an attic that's not conditioned, you have to actually use insulated ductwork. So when we don't have any here to show you, but we'll show it to you on the next video, you have to protect your ductwork, or else if it's, in the Midwest, we have vented attic space. So if it's 20 below zero outside, your attic is freezing cold. And if you're running your heat through your ductwork in those freezing cold temperatures, number one, it's going to be ice cold by the time it gets to the room. But number two, you're going to have a lot of condensation issues inside of it. So you've got to make sure your ductwork's insulated when it's running in unconditioned space. So thank you for watching the video. And as always, if you guys could, hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and ring the notification bell for us. And we'll see you out on the next episode.